My name is Christy Alosio, and I am a counselor at Healing Hearts of Indy in Indianapolis, Indiana. I do individual, marital, family, and group counseling here at Healing Hearts of Indy. Today's video topic, I want to talk about if you feel like you have the doormat syndrome. And if you do, why is it there, and why do you get stuck in having the doormat syndrome? So the first thing on the topic is when we talk about somebody feeling like a doormat or being a doormat to other people, it sounds very harsh. It's kind of like a slap in the face to people a little bit if I say, hey, have you ever thought, like, do you feel like a doormat? Do you feel like people can walk on you? Do you feel like people take advantage of you? And I think that's a really hard thing for people to hear, and a really hard thing for people to admit that they might be suffering from. But I will tell you, I don't sugarcoat it. I will be honest with people if I feel like that's going on, because sometimes people need the bluntness, they need the honesty for it to really kind of set in and be like, well, wait a minute. Like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be considered a doormat. I don't want to feel like people walk on me. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel okay. So, saying it and being honest and not sugarcoating and dancing around the fact that you're a doormat to other people is kind of a reality check. And, you can't fix something unless, you can see it's there, you want to fix it, and there's like a burning motivation and feeling the pain of being a doormat or being called a doormat a lot of times is really good motivation to change and make things different. So, so do you feel like a doormat? Sometimes some of the things that come up with that is a feeling like you can't say no. And even if you do say no, people are going to kind of expect you to do it anyway. So I'm feeling overwhelmed. My plate is full, but yes, I will be the troop leader for Girl Scouts, or yes, I will volunteer in the classroom, or yes, I will help you with that work project. Whatever it is, it's just a feeling of, my gut, my heart is saying no, or is saying no, but I can't say no, I have to say yes. And so not being congruent with what's really going on with you, and how you present yourself to the outside world. Another way people can feel like a doormat, or another maybe symptom, is feeling like you don't have a voice in your marriage. And be careful when you think about that concept, because most of the time codependents are the ones running the day-to-day thing. I mean, don't for a second think that because, well, wait a minute, but I make all the kids' doctor's appointments and I take them and I do all the cooking and meal planning and go to the grocery and plan our vacations and blah, 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 blah. Yes, you do all those things, but when it comes down to really having a voice in the marriage, who has the power? You or your spouse? That's where that question comes in. So don't confuse the kind of day-to-day running of the family as having a voice, because they're two different things. Somebody can run all those things day-to-day in the family, but when it comes down to decisions that really matter to both people, who has the final say, who kind of has the voice or the power in that? And another symptom would just be overall kind of feeling dumped on, where you're the person that feels like you always pick up the extra cleaning, you always pick up the projects, you always pick up maybe the planning when it's with your friends. You can get dumped on or feel dumped on in your family, at work, with your friends, in any of those relationships. And so if you feel like everybody else is cutting out at 3 on Friday and I'm there till 6 because more projects get dumped on me and because I can't say no and I can't stand up for myself, that might be a sign that you're kind of suffering from the doormat syndrome. So, as a basic, it's kind of like, well, I give and I give and I give, but no one gives back to me. When is somebody going to get back to me? If you feel that way, there's a good chance that, people are taking advantage or you're getting dumped on. And, until you can have a voice and have some boundaries with that, things, won't change. So when if you're associating this with this at all, I would say that there's a really good chance you're suffering from codependency. Codependency is really what's behind, or is the clinical name for the doormat syndrome. So kind of erase what you've heard of codependency in your mind if you've heard some about it. It's we hear a lot about it related to drinking, and it's not always about that. If you're married to somebody that's an alcoholic, there's a good chance you're codependent with them. You probably are, but that doesn't mean you can't be codependent if you're not married to an alcoholic. So, codependents lack boundaries. They have a hard time setting up these goals to say, This is what is okay, this is what is not okay. Protecting yourself. Boundaries are more about protecting you than they are about trying to control other people. Speaking of control, codependents love to try to control other people's emotions and behaviors because they are more comfortable with smooth. They're usually not great with conflict. They have a low sense of self, a sense of I'm okay with who I am. They have low anger, and some people might see that as a good thing. It's good not to have rage, but it's very healthy actually to have some anger. Anger is what helps us create boundaries. It's what helps us protect ourselves. And they usually have a low sense of entitlement. So if there's 100% entitlement to go around in a relationship, generally the codependent is happy taking a sliver while the other person has a lot. And entitlement is, what do I deserve? And, being able to be a little selfish. These things about codependency keep you stuck. They keep you stuck in codependency. They keep you stuck getting taken advantage of and feeling like a doormat. So why codependency? Where does that come from? Codependency is rooted in abandonment, the fear of abandonment. I need to keep other people happy so that they will love me. I need to keep other people okay so that the relationship's okay, because I can't fear this relationship changing or rocking the boat. There's so much more to that. I'm not going to go into the abandonment piece in this video, but we have lots of videos on abandonment, vlogs on abandonment that kind of talk about that concept. But this one, we're going to focus more on the codependency, and contact me if you have some more questions about the abandonment piece. But all this, the codependency and feeling like a doormat, it creates pain. It creates sadness, it creates bitterness, and it creates feeling jaded. It creates burnout. Eventually codependents are like going and doing for everybody and taking on and feeling overwhelmed, blah, blah, and they finally hit burnout. And unfortunately, a lot of times I see that in my office is they just come in and they're like, I'm just done. Like, I just don't want to be in this relationship. I need a new job. I need this whole change because I just can't keep up with all of this in my life anymore. There's too much. And again, it's you just keep giving all of yourself away, not getting a lot in return, and not doing any self-care, and eventually that's going to lead to some sort of unhappiness, resentment, burnout type feeling. So it feels like a very quick synopsis of codependency, a quick synopsis of the Doormat Syndrome. So we'll just kind of do a quick and dirty, like, how do I fix it? What steps do I need to take to make the Doormat Syndrome better? And of course, these are very basic. In therapy, we go kind of very deeply into each of these steps, and even more importantly in therapy is finding out why it's there, because you can't fix it unless you know why it's there to begin with. So how do I fix it? First step is you have to admit it. You have to say, you know what, I'm a doormat, people take advantage of me, and I can't say no. Not easy to do. I have a lot of people that sit on my couch that really fight the label of codependency. That's not me, I'm strong, I'm independent. Well, in the outside world, you really do look that way. But in relationships, the dynamics are usually set up that that's not really the case. The second step is to feel pain about it. So it's so much more of developing some healthy anger, some boundaries. All of those things are about sadness more than they are about anger. We need to feel pain about being a doormat because change comes when we're uncomfortable with something. People don't change things when they're comfortable and they feel fine. People change things when they're uncomfortable and they're in pain. And that's like physical health, emotional health. So, if you can really be honest about how you feel about where you are in your life and relationships, it can be really good motivation to say, I can't live like this anymore, something has to be different. Third, we need to deal with the abandonment piece that I talked about. If the root of your codependency is, directly related to fear of losing a relationship, then we need to deal with that fear before your codependency can get better. That is just, again, abandonment is such a huge topic. I can go into that, but it would be another 5 videos. So in this video, we're just sticking to the codependent piece. The fourth step is get ready for rough times ahead. People do not usually handle people in relationships changing well, because it's going to kind of rock their world as well. If you're changing and you guys have kind of developed this relationship that goes like this, and then you change the movement, you change your dance a little bit, then the other person kind of trips over themselves and is like, what's going on? And they're uncomfortable with that. So just get ready that even though this change is going to end up creating a lot of happiness for your future and a better relationship for your future, it tends to create some rough patches first. So that's kind of like an overview, a quick, overview of codependency. And if you're feeling like a doormat, a couple of books that are really helpful on this topic. Codependent No More by Melody Beattie is a really good place to start. And there's also another book called Codependency for Dummies that is another really good book to read on the topic. So if you want to learn more about your codependency, or we can dig into abandonment or those issues, please, you can contact me to set up an appointment. My address is Christy@healingheartsofindy.com. That's CHRISTY@healingheartsofindy.com. Thank you.